Many people will say to do what you're passionate about, trust your gut, follow your intuition, but sometimes we can get emotions that are like anger, frustration, anxiety, worries, some of these negative feelings or tension. And maybe we may want to respond on them that won't be good for ourselves or other people. So suppression is one of the 6 healthy ways to deal with some of this internal conflict or emotions. I've talked about some of the other ones, including altruism, humor, sublimation, anticipation. As the name suggests, not all of what goes into one's minds or feelings needs to be acted upon. Suppression can sort of help these things to go away. Some examples may be to stay quiet and not tell your boss to F off. Or if your spouse does something that offends you, maybe wait and don't confront them in front of their parents or in front of the children, but have a private time aside where you guys can sort this out. Now, using this technique can take quite a bit of discernment, as there's probably a time to stand up for oneself and a time to be quiet. Maybe by being quiet, these scenarios just pass and go away, or it gives time for someone to reflect, to really think about how to address the situation, how to deal with it, or if they're thinking about the situation the right way. Emotions of hunger, thirst, sex, these are all emotions that can be worked on and suppressed over time. It may be easier for some people more than others, but it's sort of like a training where as you take time to build up these muscles to get stronger and lift heavier weights, the more you train yourself to deal with these emotions and thoughts, the easier it's going to become down the road. For example, I talked about asceticism and fasting as other ways to suppress some of these tendencies that the body can have. So you could look at those videos for more information about those topics. So there seems to be a balance that's needed when suppressing emotions. Being able to suppress the emotions or express your feelings at a later time gives people the opportunity to reflect on it, to change their thinking about the situation, to make sure they're looking at it in the right point of view. Studies have shown that in relationships, taking this approach may help people to not feel rejected by their partners because they are less likely to bring up conflicts. Yet on the other hand, it could put parts of the relationship at risk if all they do is suppress and don't bring up issues or situations that need to be talked about and worked on. So there needs to be a balance when using suppression. Reflecting on the situation to see if one's mind or feelings changes about the situation, and raising the concern in the right place and the right time, if it needs to be raised, seems to be the right approach. Sometimes in a relationship, conflicts or issues really need to be talked about and worked on. One method that I heard can be helpful, for example, in a married couple, is setting aside some certain time each week to work on these things. So other times in the relationship can be a little bit more playful, more enjoyable, more smooth. Rather than bringing up every issue and negative thing that comes up every moment, that can just cause a lot of negative issues and tension to build up without having as much enjoyable time. So maybe one day a week for an hour, just have that time to sort out working on the issues. Also, by dedicating that time, you're not going to be surprised by something in the moment, or you're not going to be so distracted during the day with dealing with these things. I think it might also help to be less emotionally drained. Biblically, I think we can look at the life of Christ and St. Paul to see how they practiced suppression. Christ was God, and he knew that he would make this manifest to the world. Yet he often tells people, such as his mother Mary at the wedding at Cana in Galilee, that his time has not yet come. Like his time was not necessarily that moment to manifest himself as God. Maybe it's a good example that we are burning inside because we know we are created for something amazing, something powerful, yet our opportunity just hasn't presented itself, but maybe the timing just isn't right. Another example that comes to mind is St. Paul, who at one point during his ministry said that he'd rather die than live this life on earth. He wanted to die and be in heaven and have that perfect harmony with God in heaven rather than live his life on earth. Yet he kind of suppressed those emotions to continue his life on earth so he could better preach the message of Christ and the gospel to people for us to learn about.